Hello, homeschooling families. This is Janet here from Cabinet Homeschool Resource Center, and I'm so excited to have another meeting with Gretchen from Demme Learning and Matthew C. Hello, Gretchen.
Hi, Janet. It's great to be here.
Oh my gosh, we have done like 3 or 4 of these ones in the last year and a half, and it has been amazing. And I just want to thank you so much for spending this time with us.
I love the opportunity to spend time with you. And you guys always ask such great questions. And your families are so blessed. You support them so tremendously.
Oh my gosh. Yes. And we actually have something very exciting to announce. So we are planning to move, and you know all about that, Gretchen. And but during the week of the homeschool convention, we're still going to be at our old location here at 1117 East Devonshire. And on Thursday, July 15th, we are going to have you, Gretchen, live here at Cabinet Homeschool Resource Center. We're so excited.
I am so thrilled to get the opportunity to see, as my teenagers say, in the real, all the things that you're doing. And I'm really looking forward to meeting your families and being able to offer support and conversation wherever the conversations take us. It'll be fun.
Absolutely. So Cabinet opens at 10 in the morning. And that week is usually one of our busiest weeks of the year. So what we're doing is we're having Gretchen here from 8:30 to 10. So homeschooling families that want to meet with Gretchen and talk to her, you guys can come here before we open to the public. So we won't have a lot of people shopping for other items and stuff like that. So Gretchen, you are not only a homeschool mom, you're also a special needs specialist.
Yes.
And you are our very unique placement specialist from Matthew C. and Spelling UC. So anytime we have any questions about Matthew C. Spelling UC, or questions that we may not know how to answer, or even families that have very special circumstances, we just refer them to you and you're able to help them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's always my goal, is to help families continue the game of homeschooling. Sometimes it's a little bit of a mindset, particularly when you encounter a challenge. And my goal is to make sure that families have all the resources they need and the support that they need to do this super important job.
That's right. So when you're here on Thursday, July 15th from 8:30 to 10 a.m., people just send us an email. Chris will create a form so you can sign up. So then we know what some of your questions are ahead of time, where we can perhaps reserve specific amounts of times to talk about some specific special need or whatever. So Gretchen is so flexible. So we will make sure to have just something really neat.
Speaking at the homeschool convention, and so I'm very excited about that. I'm going to be talking about teaching your kids to manage their time.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And we're also going to be having a discussion about how manipulative can change a mathematical situation for a student. So we're going to talk a little bit about when a student struggles. Some of the things we're going to talk about this morning will be delved into in more depth in my presentation at the convention. So,
oh my gosh, AFI, homeschooling families, if you have not gone to the AFI convention, I fully encourage it. It's such a neat environment to be not only with other homeschoolers, but also with people like Gretchen that can encourage us in areas that we as homeschoolers may be struggling, or we have curiosity. Are we doing this right? Are we not doing this right? So some things, all we need is a little bit of affirmation. So I'm so excited for your workshop, Gretchen. It's going to be amazing.
I speak at a dozen conferences a year, and my favorite conference is to come to Arizona. I love the families in Arizona. I love the convention coordinators. I love how it's run. You guys are so blessed. You just
oh my gosh,
know how blessed you are. It's amazing. And I love to attend homeschool conventions. I'm the crazy one in the company who volunteers to do a dozen conferences a year. So
that's so exciting. Okay, so today we're going to be specifically talking about something that Matthew C. calls AIM, Accelerated Individualized Mastery. So tell us a little bit about AIM. How come you guys decided that was something that needed to be added to the Matthew C. program?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because, Matthew C. has been around for 30 years. And we debuted these two interventions in the last 2 years. 2 years ago, we debuted AIM for addition and subtraction, which is on the bookshelf behind me. And then in February, we brought AIM for multiplication to market. And these were really a grassroots, from the ground up, working with parents' experience to recognize where kids were struggling mathematically. Often when we see a student struggling in math, we think it's that math that is the struggle. Often we see parents who have a student who begins really to struggle around the time of long division. And what we realized in multiple conversations over the years is that struggle in long division started much further back. And so we had worked with over 500 families to develop these two programs. And the purpose of these programs, they're not a level of math you see. They are an intervention designed to replace an ineffective habit with a more effective strategy. And so that's the goal of a AIM experience.
Okay, now we do get families that come here and they usually get frustrated because their children are having a hard time memorizing the multiplication of facts, or especially this last year where we have had so many children leave the traditional school system and then they start homeschooling and the parents are shocked that the kids learn math in some odd way, that they were not required to learn the multiplication facts. And so how do you find out which will be best for your child? Because I was thinking they can just jump into the aims for multiplication. But I mean, also, what age group is recommended for either addition or the multiplication?
Well, those are two separate and really important questions. And we have, with the advent of homeschoolers who found themselves unexpectedly homeschooling, we saw an explosion of families that were surprised at what their children knew and more surprised about what their children did not know mathematically. And I have to tell you, the game is not changed. I became a homeschool mom overnight in the middle of a calendar year, all the way back in 1995, when my eldest daughter was told she didn't need to memorize her multiplication facts. And the truth of the matter is, public school systems, private school systems, parochial school systems all have agendas set for them by someone who is not sitting across the table from a student. And so they've got to get to an end game. And we as a society often engage in the magical thinking of, well, they'll get it anyway, eventually they'll get it. Or we are like I was, an adult who hadn't memorized her math facts and didn't really see what the impact of that lack of memorization was. But I knew that I had a adversarial relationship with math. That would probably be the best way to say that. I wanted to change that game for my daughter. So I didn't want it to happen in the next generation. And we became a homeschool family. And I always say we homeschooled 1 year at a time for 21 years. So the goal of this program is to change a student's ineffective habit of counting. And there are a wide variety of ways that manifests itself. Touch point math, number lines, calculators, fingers, all of those things are skip counting in multiplication. And you know what? We teach skip counting in math UC, in Gamma. We teach kids to skip count, but that's supposed to be the beginning, not the end. So if you don't get to that memorized fact set, what happens when the mathematics becomes more complex is you have to step away to do some sort of counting. And every time you have to step out of the math problem, it becomes harder to step back in and it becomes more frustrating. And that's often why we see kids really begin to struggle at long division, because in long division, you have to bring addition, subtraction, and multiplication to the table at the same time. The other thing that you said is that parents often have the perception that kids can't memorize their facts. And I know that this is a prevalent perception, particularly with kids who have been diagnosed or suspected with dyslexia. I am the parent of two dyslexics and the wife of a dyslexic. And I understand how hard that is. As a matter of fact, I even have my first level of Orton Gillingham certification to teach one of my kids how to read. So I understand what that glitchy memory looks like that a dyslexic has. But I think we sell our kids short when we say, oh, dyslexia means you think like Dory and you just have no long-term memory. Because the conversations that I often have with parents is, can your child not remember anything? Is there anything that your child can wax eloquent on? I had this conversation yesterday with a mom, and she said, if you want to talk about Pokemon, we could be here all day. And I said, see, he does know things. He does commit things to memory. He just hasn't had the vehicle to make that happen seamlessly. And even if you can move the ball 25%, that means that 1 in 4 times that they don't have to step away, it makes it a better mathematical experience. And that's why I think both of these programs are really powerful.
So most parents are going to tend to find out maybe in the 3rd, 4th grade that their children still haven't mastered multiplication. Because in the 1st and 2nd, they're kind of thinking, okay, we'll do an addition, subtraction, a little bit of multiplication, and they'll get it as we keep going. So do they start with the multiplication, or how do they find out if they should start with the addition aim?
And sometimes we don't see a struggle until we get to Algebra 1. Oh. Sometimes kids can keep it together, or they're at the top end of the C, bottom end of the B, and we're like, yeah, it's okay. They're not mathy students. And that's another myth, is to be able to say, particularly one that we hear is, oh, my daughter's really, or my son is really artistic, so they're not good at math. Math and art are parallel sciences. They are not opposites. And you would be amazed if you give an artistic kid the right kind of tools to memorize their facts, how far they can really go. These programs are designed for older students. So they're not designed for a student who is just beginning to learn addition or just beginning to learn multiplication. They're designed for a student who has already got this level of thinking necessary to be able to think mathematically, but they haven't put the pieces together correctly. So really what we're almost doing is sorting puzzle pieces, for the want of a better explanation. We have the opportunity to help students figure out what they're doing and do it more successfully. And when a parent encounters this, sometimes particularly with a 4th or a 5th grade student, we think, oh my gosh, I don't want to back all the way up to addition and subtraction. But the truth is, it's like driving a car with flat tires. You might get to where you're going, but the trip is going to be painful and slow. And so if we can put the air back in the tires, sometimes just writing that one detail allows a lot of dominoes to fall into place. So it doesn't mean that a student has to begin all the way at the beginning. It means we need to fix that challenge and then see what falls out of those challenges. And one of the things that's important to remember about multiplication is you need to have your addition and subtraction facts committed to memory to do multiplication successfully. So if you're weak in your multiplication facts and I put you into a 3-digit by 3-digit multiplication problem, you're also going to need addition. So if you're weak there, that weakness still manifests itself. So that's one of the reasons that we say, as a prerequisite to doing multiplication, we recommend that you have your addition and subtraction facts committed to memory.
Okay, so I want to thank everybody that's watching us. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment, because I'll be able to see it and I can ask Gretchen about it. So this AIM program also has a placement test, correct?
It does. Well, if you go on our website, you will find placement criteria. And if you're still confused and you're still struggling, we definitely want parents to reach out to us. We do have a placement tool that they can use if they still need really, frankly, convincing. You can't be convinced if you aren't convinced. And some parents are like, look, I know this is a struggle and this is what we need to do. And other parents will say to us, I don't think it's a struggle. until they have the opportunity to engage with a diagnostic. And so that really is the purpose of the diagnostic, is to help a parent understand where the struggle is and how the program might change that for them. So you have to reach out to us, unfortunately, for those diagnostics. We have diagnostic tools that I also can get into your hands so that you can have them there in the store for a parent to use with their student.
So I do want to say, don't be shy, go to the placement assistant place, whatever it's called, and Matthew C's website or Demme Learning website. But if you have questions, don't be shy to contact Matthew C, because they are amazing. I mean, they expect these calls and they want to make sure they place you in the correct place. They don't want you buying the wrong level for your child. So don't be shy. If you have questions, make sure to reach out.
I'm really glad that you said that, because, we want parents' success sometimes even more than they want it for themselves. And the truth is, everyone who engages with families, either as a customer service representative or myself as a customer success consultant, there's a dozen of us. All of us either homeschooled our children, are actively homeschooling our children now, or have worked with homeschool families for years and years and years. So we understand what it means to be the parent sitting across the table trying to go, what is going on here? Why is this happening? Why is my child melting into tears every time I say the word math? Yeah. And our goal is to take the tears away and replace them with happy smiles.
And you guys do an amazing job of that. Okay, so let's talk about the addition fact. So that one starts at what age, more or less? What age do you recommend?
We are looking for a student who is at least 8 years of age. But as far as the upper end, it doesn't exist. I've worked with kids who were juniors in high school who really struggled. And the interesting thing is, filling that singular gap allows so many things to fall in place behind it that it alleviates a lot of mathematical struggles. I've had kids who have failed algebra more than once, that once we filled these two gaps, have been able to have a successful Algebra 1 experience.
So if a family starts doing the AIM, addition and subtraction, should they continue doing the math that they were working on? Or is it best if they put that aside?
I'm really glad you asked that question, because the truth of the matter is, we do use this product with families who have kids in school systems. But what I want you to bear in mind is, we're trying to change an ineffective habit. So if you're doing regular math in conjunction with trying to change this habit, what are you going to bring to the table for the regular math? You're going to bring the bad habit to the table. So if they have the latitude to set regular math aside until they have righted the ship, so to speak, they'll have a much more successful experience. And probably the most important thing there is, as the parent, to think not we're going to be so far behind, but how would this change the game if we could make this better? And that's a huge difference.
Oh my gosh, Jessica, because if there's a child that's so upset and crying every time you have to do math, if you can fix that, so when the math comes out, they're like, okay, I may not love it, but I can do it, and I know I can do it successfully. Or they may end up being, I didn't love it because I didn't understand it, and now I really like it. I mean, that is a total game changer.
And I have to say, we hear those stories all the time. Parents will sometimes call us back and say, oh my gosh, you cannot believe how this changed our homeschool life. And that's probably the most gratifying part of the job, is to hear that it has been successful and it has been a game changer for families.
So the other thing that is really nice is that this program is quite affordable. It is $39 for the addition and subtraction, and it is $45 for the multiplication. Right. And the other nice thing is that you don't have to do it for a huge amount of time. For the math, subtraction and addition, how much time do you guys recommend working on this program?
So I've seen kids do it in as little as 6 weeks, but those are the exceptions. If you think about how long it takes to change a bad habit, and you take that into account, you're looking at about 12 to 14 weeks to change a habit. Here's the other thing that's important for a parent to remember is, in the process of changing that habit, the hardest struggle is the first lesson, because you've got to bring that bad habit or that poor strategy to consciousness, so a student can go, oh, wait, I counted for those facts in order to be able to change it. And we often say to parents, you may be 3 weeks on the very first lesson, and don't grow weary in well-doing, because what you're doing is you're laying the foundation. And it's kind of like pushing a roller coaster over top of the hill. Pushing it up that hill is really, really hard. But once you hit the top and you come down the other side, then it gets progressively easier and faster.
So we have a question from Brenda. She's asking if the format of the AIM is similar to Matthew C, video lessons and worksheets. So I have
Brenda, thanks for asking. I'm really excited that you asked that question. If you're familiar with Matthew C, you're familiar with our format in the fact that we use manipulatives and we have video instruction, and then we have the lesson manuals behind me. And the video instruction, the lesson manuals, and the manipulatives are the complete instruction. One of the reasons we've been able to deliver these two products at these modest price points is because we've changed the way the instruction is delivered a little bit. So the instructional component is found only online, and the resource guide is your resource for the process. So it's a little bit different than what you would know about a traditional Matthew C experience, but we still do engage with those manipulatives in the process because they are part of changing the strategies for students.
So let me show you what you would get when you get the addition. And the multiplication similar. So you get a card with your code, and this code, I used it because I wanted, Gretchen let me have it so I could actually log in and create an account. It was actually pretty easy. You have to create an account, and then you have access to even a digital pack where you get a set of manipulatives. It's not as big as the complete set. You also get some coloring pencils for the addition and subtraction. So this set is not as big as the big set, but it gives you all the manipulatives that you need. And then you also get the resource book and these cards, which I am not going to call them flashcards. So
Thank you. We appreciate that.
That's right. So these are fact check cards, and this is not a program. Oh, and you also get some. I'm going to call them mini posters.
Yes.
So with different.
We call them strategy posters.
Strategy posters. Yes. But anyway, so you get a nice amount of stuff, and this is not a program that you just give to your child and say, do it. This is something that the parent has to work with your kids. So tell us a little bit about that, Gretchen.
Correct. So in this process, to answer Brenda's question, in the remaining portion, how is this different? There aren't workbook pages. It is the opportunity for a parent to engage in a brief period of time with their student to be able to begin to change the game. And where we start is, of course, with the manipulatives, as you've already said. So we're going to ask the student to build, write, say a set of facts. And then the next time we sit down with a student, we're going to ask the student to show us what is in their mind. And these strategies are based on what mathematical research tells us is the way we learn math best. So those colored pencils that you had, Janet, we're going to ask the student to show us what is in their head from their last experience. So let's say we built the fact 2 plus 4 is the same value as 6. The next time that I sit down with my student, I'm going to ask them to take those colored pencils and draw something for me, either horizontally or vertically, that looks like that fact, because I want to see if they have put that fact into their long-term memory. If they haven't, then the digital tools will give the parents a variety of ways to practice those facts again. And if they have, then we'll begin to practice for mastery. So those fact check cards that you showed there are how we inform the work. We go through with the student and we say 3 plus 2, and the student says 3 plus 2 is 5. Great, you know that one. It goes in this pile. 2 plus 6. I'm not sure I know that. Great, we'll put it in a not yet known pile, and we'll practice that fact differently than the known fact. So those fact check cards begin to inform the work as you move through the process The goal being the student commits them to memory with a new process of, instead of counting for the fact, being able to have the fact memorized. And really the goal of the process is when a student can go, oh, wait, I counted for that fact. 2 + 6 is 8. And that is when you know you really are on your way.
So how long should each student spend with their children working on this program each day?
15 minutes at a time. And some parents will engage 15 minutes at a time more than once a day. But we really want, actually, there is as much virtue in the time in between as there is the actual engagement, because we're changing that ineffective habit. So we want a parent to take at least a 2-hour break in between interactive sessions. And we want it to be absolutely not more than 15 minutes. And sometimes if you have a student who has really been emotional about math, you have to start at 5 minutes and work up to 15 minutes.
So last time we talked, you told me a little fact about the ability of children to keep concentration or to be able to focus on something. So it's usually their age plus a couple of minutes, correct? Tell us a little bit about that.
Correct. So what learning theorists tell us is that the brain's capacity to learn something new, something that they have not learned before, is time limited. So a 10-year-old has an attention span of somewhere between 10 and 12 minutes to learn something they've not learned before. By the same token, they have an attention span of 10 to 12 minutes to relearn something that has been learned ineffectively. I laugh when I speak at homeschool conferences about this particular fact, because I say, if you have a teenager, then you their age and you need to subtract 2 to 3 minutes because we really fail to take into account how much the hormones of puberty really do affect our ability to recall. And so there is legitimacy in adding a little bit of grace to the process there. So
the math we usually take up to 3 months, which if you really, perhaps a little longer depending on the student. But that seems like a really worthwhile investment in time to change a habit, to change an insecurity even into a success story, because then after that your child will be able to progress with their math achievement in a much more pleasant way. And
I have a colleague who likens it to a home improvement project. And he says, you have a goal of something you want to happen, but it's kind of messy in the process. Yeah. And it's a little messy until you get to the end, but then you have something beautiful. And that really is the process with AIM.
So AIM is starting at age 8 up to even adults that need to improve their math.
And addition multiplication is age 10.
Okay, 10 and up. Very good. And the age for multiplication will also be about 15 minutes, correct?
Correct.
So in order to use it, you just create an account at Demme Learning and enter your code, like similar to the one that I showed you that was given to me or to Cabinet. And then you get the neatest resources there, because you have the manual manipulatives that Gretchen just showed us and the ones that I showed you, but you also get a digital set of those. And it's, I was kind of playing with them a little bit. Those are really neat to play, especially for kids that are really used to computers and
they are. My 15-year-old has laughingly called them Mindcraft for math.
There you go.
For years. So it allows us to make the program portable. Mm-hmm. So if you need to get your 15 minutes in at the pool, you can make that happen.
Very good.
They're not a substitute for the manipulative because the physical process of working with these is a game changer, but they are a tremendous supplement.
Very good. Now, because the multiplication, is it because the children are a little bit older? Usually the time needed is a little less. Is that how it works? Or...
So, there are 22 lessons in AIM for addition and subtraction. There are only 12 lessons in AIM for multiplication. So that's one of the reasons it's a little bit shorter. The process is a little bit different. We have an older student here that we can apply a little bit more sophisticated mathematical thinking with.
Mm-hmm.
And a student that steps into AIM for multiplication should have their addition and subtraction facts mastered. So the process is a little bit different. So that's why it's a shorter, briefer period of time.
Okay, very nice. Is there anything that, since we're getting close to the end of our video, so the families that get the multiplications, they also get a code, and they get all those nice cards that we're talking about, fact check cards. Correct. And then once your child learns those, you don't have to keep going back to the ones that they learned, correct? Since it's a mastery system.
Well, the idea is that if you want to maintain proficiency, we do recommend that you continue to practice your facts. Okay. My favorite place to do that is in the car at a traffic signal. Mainly because my face is way too expressive and I don't want my kids to see disappointment from me. So if we're all looking forward, as long as the signal's red, I can ask you any fact I want. But when the signal turns green, then we're done. And that allows us a really brief interaction that can be an affirmative one and always an encouragement to a student.
That sounds great. Now, what I want to encourage everybody, and you can add to this, Gretchen, please read the resource book. Is it called resource? The resource guide, because it explains the philosophies behind what you're supposed to do, explains why you're doing certain things that sometimes may feel wasteful or not needed. And it might even explain what is okay to skip if your child already knows some stuff. So right. Please read this because it really will prepare you to be successful in the program.
Right. One of the things that parents will say to us is, can we just do what my kid doesn't know? And because we're changing a habit, all of the lessons are integrated together. Now, does that mean you have to spend an equal amount of time on every lesson? Absolutely not. You'll move more quickly through the lessons your student knows. But being able to make that integration so that everything is seamless is a part of the process. And every part of the process is deliberative. And I am that homeschool mom who would just go flying in without reading the directions. And in this instance, we really do encourage families to read the directions because that's how they're going to get the most out of the program. And there's actually a page in here. It's called the lesson roadmap. In multiplication, it's pages 12 and 13. And this really is the outline of how you'll do the work. So you'll refer back to these pages over and over again, and we recommend taking a paper clip and paper clipping that so you can go back and say, all right, where are we in the process? Each lesson has A, B, C, D, so you'll know where you are in the process based on where you are in the lessons.
Yeah, and the nice thing, I mean, it's a skinny. It's skinny, so you don't have to read a lot. Plus, it's only the first section that has more words, because then after that, there's images and explanations on how to do stuff. But I think this will be one that it will be super important to read it all. It's not just the answers. Like, there's other curriculums that you're okay skipping it because all you're looking is for the answers. This one is a whole system. So that's really important. And thank you for making it skinny. We're busy.
Well, that was our goal. We like words, but we wanted it to be something that was very doable, even for a parent who said, well, I don't have my math facts memorized. You'll come out the other side of this having better math proficiency yourself as well.
Yeah. So something that you said just brought to mind, this program, the AIMS, it's really good even for dyslexic kids because it's not language heavy, correct?
Correct. That is correct. Yeah, it makes a tremendous amount of difference. And as a matter of fact, there is really nothing that a student needs to read in going through the process of the program, except we do use word problems. And the word problems that we use are designed to be built with the manipulatives because we want the student to be able to properly frame how those word problems come together. And that is part of the change of the game.
So if there's a child that needs to relearn or change bad habits for addition, subtraction, and multiplication, and they're like super discouraged, they're like, I'm dumb. And actually, we heard it here at Cabin. There's so many times that I tell the kids, no, you're not. It's just that this curriculum did not work for you, or we need to figure something differently. So, but the kids, they don't want to go back and learn something as simple as addition, So how does the parent encourage the child I really liked, one of them will be like, if it's a dyslexic kid, to be able to tell him, you know what, you're dyslexic, so we need something that works with the way that you're built, something special, individualized to you, something that's not language heavy will work for them. So that could be an encouragement. So how about for other kids? What other encouragements would you suggest?
I think the most encouraging thing a parent can say is, I want to give you the tools to be successful. And what we've done thus far hasn't worked really well. So we're going to collaborate together to make math easier for you. Is that something you're willing to do? Because frankly, we don't get out of this life without being engaged with mathematics. So why not make the journey less painful? And sometimes it's a sales job on the part of the parent. But if the student will commit to the process, it is amazing how it changes the student's attitude.
I love what you just said. We want to make math easier for you. Yes. So Dulce is asking us if the program will be available to purchase at the AFI convention. And the answer is?
You can order it at the convention and we'll ship it to you. If you want it to take it home, you need to.
I have it here. Yes, so order the convention, or if you want it today, I ordered a bunch of them. So I have those right here ready to go out the door. And then Dulce, we're still at our old location. We're in the process of moving, and you guys know with construction and renovation projects, things just are taking longer even now more than ever. So make sure you check our website to find out where we are, but we are going to be our current location till the end of August for sure. But yeah, it'll be available to order at the AFI convention or pick up in person here at Covenant.
Right. You can order it at the convention, and we've prided ourselves on convention orders get shipped by the Tuesday of the week following the convention. So you'll probably have it within a week.
Oh, that's excellent.
If you have watched and joined us today and you want to start this process today, they're on the shelf there. I would go and get one.
Absolutely.
There.
I know. I told Gretchen that it rained today, but we homeschoolers don't. Arizona people, we don't care. We want to go out and get wet and get cooled off. It's 99 degrees today high, and we're in heaven.
Well, I told Janet I was embarrassed to tell her that it was 52 degrees here in the mountains of Western North Carolina. When I got up this morning, I had all my windows open, and I had to go around and close them because which is why in June I'm in long sleeves while I'm visiting with you all.
So I also want to mention that Demme Learning, obviously, they sell math programs and stuff like that, but it really is also a ministry. So if you go to Demme Learning's website, they have something that's called the Learning Guild?
The Guild, yes. Demme Learning /Guild, GUILD. And we have a wealth of information there. One of the things that we started about 6 months ago that has been wildly popular is we host weekly roundtable discussions with parents. You don't have to use math UC, spelling UC, analytical grammar to join us for a conversation. If you go to our website, if you go to mathuc.com events, you can find all of the upcoming roundtable events. Next week, we're going to talk about goal setting for your homeschool year. I know that can be an oxymoron, something that a lot of folks don't want to do. But as I tell my teenagers, failure to plan is a plan to fail. So being able to plan and hit that target is hugely important. So we want to help you do that.
That is amazing. So Gretchen, thank you so much for being with us. And I'm so excited that you're going to be with us in person here on July 15th. I know. I'm so thankful we have air conditioning. And who knows, even if it rains, homeschoolers are so happy when that happens. We send our kids outside to run and get their energy out and get wet.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I will look forward to it.
So we still need to do one more Facebook Live. And the next one that I want to do is on your stewardship program.
Oh, terrific. I would love to have a conversation about that. That would be awesome.
Yeah. So thank you, Dulce and Brenda, for leaving comments and questions. And thank you for everybody else that has been listening in. Thank you for joining us. And Gretchen, I look forward to seeing you in July. And thank you for joining us today.
I can't wait. I'll look forward to it. I'll see you then. All right. Take care.
Bye. Bye, everybody.